And from there, it went into to graphics. There was all these new programs out for not only creating published work, but also creating graphics and manipulating photos and everything. Of course, now we know Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. There were all these players back then, and they were all really hard to use. So I started hosting events that were for that industry. And a buddy of mine just kept nudging me, said, "You should be doing this for PowerPoint." And I said, "Who cares about PowerPoint?" And he just kept nudging me about that. And so I said, "Okay, fine. I'm going to put my money where your mouth is. Let's
Mm.
go." And we invented PowerPoint Live. That's what it was called back in
Wow.
2003. And 180 people showed up that very first year. I thought, holy crap, there might be something to this.
Yes,
And
yes.
and that was 24 years ago, and the now the presentation summit is still going strong. Um, COVID might have been a silver lining for me. I might have retired if it weren't for this whole
Wow.
new world of virtual presenting. Presentation is hard enough. You we don't learn storytelling. There's no storytelling 1A in school. Very few of us have backgrounds in graphic design, and yet we are asked to design presentations often on a daily basis. We all suck at PowerPoint, and we are scared to death to speak in public. In fact, we are scared beyond death. There's the book of lists
Yes.
regularly tracks
Yes.
worst fears, and public speaking is almost always number one. Death comes in at about five. So we are scared beyond death to speak in public. So the deck is just so stacked against us. Now you add this whole challenge of virtual on top of all of that. And this is just really, really hard stuff. None of us had a clue what to do back in COVID. We
Right.
wanted the conference to continue, and we figured some way to do it virtually. Everybody was stuck in their homes, sheltering in place. We had over 400 people for the first virtual conference because they were so
Wow.
grateful to have
Yes,
something
it was
to
something to
do.
do.
No, we had no idea what we were doing, and
Wow.
like just about everybody, we had to figure it all out. And uh, the expectation gap is what I call it for me, which is so satisfying that in an in-person conference, people expect a lot of us, and I
Yes.
think we deliver. I think we maybe you may have heard me say this, Teresa, back there at in Southern California, that people expect a 7, we give them an 8.
Yeah.
At a
Yeah.
virtual event, people expect it to suck. People expect a
The
3.
bar is low.
The bar is so low. The bar is
Yes.
down here, and we give them a 7. We
Yeah.
don't quite get to the 8 of in person, but we give them way more than they expect. And that gap is really satisfying to me that people say, "Oh, wow, I expected this to just be some
Yeah.
crummy Zoom thing." And when you can inject a little bit of humanity into the process, people really appreciate it. And so I have no plans to retire. Yes, I wrote that book, which I should be promoting there. I write better than I promote. And so yeah, this whole virtual thing is great. I kicked my daughter out of her bedroom. She had already left the house. Let's be clear about that. I didn't make her homeless.
You're not a
And
mean parent.
yeah, and so I mean, I like everybody. I had to learn all this stuff as I went along. The bar is a little higher for me because I am expected to be the authority on all of this,
Right.
and I'm not really sure if any of us is yet. But I mean, we all learn together, and it fascinates me how both satisfying and frustrating virtual presenting can be.
Yeah. And it continues to be, even though we've been now doing it for quite some time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be natural.
What is something, and this leads to what changed in presenting in the virtual world that most people still haven't fully adjusted to?
What people haven't really adjusted to. Well, I don't think that you ever truly adjust to to virtual. And I think it's always going to be deficient. If we hope to create the same experience in person, we're going to be frustrated. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. Um, I feel like you just always have to be trying to recover or compensate for
Right,
that. It's kind of like playing golf. Golf is just the hardest sport in the world. Golf is the most frustrating sport in the world, and the only way you're going to get good at it at all is to completely surrender to it. You have to surrender to the golf gods that you suck at golf. And in a way, virtual presenting is sort of the same. You have to concede that you're not going to connect with people the way that you do in person, and how can we go from there? And that's really kind of the first step, I think.
yeah, well, it's there are I'm still not I don't consider myself an expert in Zoom. I don't consider myself an expert with presentation skills, but
Hmm.
yet that's how I make my living, Rick.
Right.
I'm doing this every day. What are some common mistakes that you see virtual presenters make, even experienced ones like me? Because I'm telling you, I know I do.
Hmm. Um, telling jokes. Telling jokes on camera is really risky. You have no idea whether your audience is laughing. Now here, if I say something funny and you laugh, okay, you're my audience. But
Yes,
when you are speaking to dozens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of people, you have no idea how your words are landing with them. And I think one of the mistakes
yeah,
people make is sort of creating an expectation around that. I find that it is far more successful and much less risky to make myself laugh instead of making my audience laugh. And that's a skill that you can learn. And I find that on virtual, that pays off big time to to
yes,
to to allow yourself to feel the humor in something and to laugh about it. That's a
sure.
skill, to laugh while you speak. You literally can practice that, and that alone will help endear you to your audience and break through this otherwise unbreakable barrier.
Yeah. And as a comedian, I can say, yes, it is hard to do
That's
this
right. You totally can
online.
relate to that.
I totally, although I will say, so I had a friend of mine from high school who invited me to her house on Sunday. It was her birthday. And she said, would you come and do some comedy? I said, absolutely, I'll come and do comedy. Well, I cracked a rib. I hurt my back. There was no there was no way. So I wrote to her. I said, I feel so bad. I
Mm,
can't come. She says, would you
mm,
do it on Zoom? Would you? And I said, only because I love her. Yes, I will do it on Zoom. But here's what saved me, Rick, and this is to your point. We had a
mhm.
camera, we had her camera facing the
Ah,
entire party.
yes.
And I said, leave your microphone on.
Yeah.
So I did
Yes.
have
Now,
an
I was going to
audience.
ask, do you do stand up on Zoom
I
in a
do, but
conventional way?
reluctantly so.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it must be more about storytelling instead of just
It is.
landing jokes, right?
And it's, I do like to see the faces. If I can see the faces, it helps, even if they're muted. That's wonderful.
So you stay in gallery view whenever you can?
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, for sure. And the other thing is, my act is my act, so I know what's coming. So I just plow through. I know what it's going to be, but it is not nearly as fun as
No.
being in a
No.
room.
Right.
Not nearly as fun.
Not nearly.
Oh, so low-hanging fruit. I've got a few questions here. If someone changed only one thing before their next virtual presentation, what would you recommend? What is something that you just think, wow, this is not hard?
Hmm. Um, no postage stamps.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Let me go to my screen for this. So um, what I mean by that is to be able to take control of your own video likeness, and Zoom does not make that easy at all. All right, so everybody should be seeing my screen now,
Hmm.
and th this is the question: how you decide when to show yourself. Now, when you're in gallery view like this, now you're just one of the group. But when you get spotlighted because you are the presenter and you share your screen, what happens? Here's what happens. You become a little postage stamp. And I hate that. I don't want to be a postage stamp. I'd rather not be there at all. If the emphasis should be on my screen, then I want people to be looking at my screen as you're all
Hmm.
doing right now. Now, if I wanted inject myself. I interject. I'm not in a syringe. If I wanted to interject myself, I could do that. That's intentional. If I want people to see me, now they're seeing me. And if I want them to show my screen, I do. Zoom doesn't have any provision for that at all. Now, the simplest thing that you should know about is what's called side-by-side speaker view. And let me actually just give you so there's several things that you can do here. The lowest hanging fruit, Teresa, to use your phrase, is what I call side-by-side speaker view. And ironically, it's not so easy for me to show that to you because it's done on your side, on the audience side. But here's just a little video that shows this. You all can go pull down the view menu when anybody is sharing their screen, and that gives you this little slider bar here. And you then decide the relative sizes of the person's shared screen or of their view. So at least the audience can change you from being a postage stamp. Now, that's deficient, and the inmates mostly run the asylum in Zoom, but that's better than nothing. Just being able to do that is significant. That gives at least some amount of control back to you, because that's what we're trying to do here is give you a little bit of control back, of which there's really very little.
And you can
Now,
see I am
yes.
learning some things as we go. So, Santu, we have a hand raised. So, Santu, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, please. Rick, are you saying that the presenter cannot adjust the slider so that he or she is side by side? They can't adjust the slider. Only the watcher, the viewer can adjust?
Uh, Correct. Audience
Ah,
members make that decision. And so I consider that to be the lowest common denominator for professional presenting, is sharing a screen and making sure the audience knows about side-by-side speaker view.
I love that.
Now, you will not see me share my screen once this entire hour that I'm going to spend here with Teresa, because I much prefer to control things differently than that. And going back to the list, these are the things. These are the other things that you can do. Microsoft Cameo is a great tool for this that nobody is using right now.
True.
Microsoft Cameo, you can create a shape on the screen, and you can stuff your own camera feed into that shape. So you can then be on your slides literally. OBS and Airtime are two products that do that a lot. I go with number four. I use a dedicated AV switch box, which lets me decide what it is that people see, either my screen or me. So I have complete control over my own video likeness. And that is the low-hanging fruit, I think, for many people. But unfortunately, Zoom doesn't make it easy, because,
Yeah.
yes, to the question asked earlier, I can't impose any of this unless I'm in a what's it called, Teresa? A meeting,
Mm.
not a
We're in
webinar.
meeting now.
We're in meeting.
Webinar is where the audience is completely off screen.
Okay,
There's
now it's still I still there's still the postage stamp syndrome
Yes,
though,
it's
right?
this
Yeah, so
absolutely.
yeah.
I
So
and this can
so
love
only
that.
work this could only work in live. Like if you're recording, Zoom automatically puts you as a postage stamp at the top, and you can't do anything. Even the audience can't do anything about that. So it only works in a live Zoom meeting.
Unless you can avoid sharing your screen.
Right.
See,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Well, if you're presenting slides, you can't. Yeah.
when Teresa spotlights me, then whatever my video feed is what my audience is going to see. And I can create my own split screen should I choose to, either this way or this way, where now I can be interacting
Yes.
with my content. But yes, you're right. Screen sharing, you lose so much control, and that's why I avoid it like the plague.
Can you share with
Wow.
us the name of your item number 4, whatever it was, something of hardware or something? What do you use?
So yes, I can. I promised Teresa that I would open my kimono very wide, but maybe let's put that off for
Towards the
just a
end.
little while. I
Yes.
don't want to derail the
That's
conversation
fine.
too much, but I know that Teresa is going to make me do that. So
Okay.
in a little while
Okay.
we will.
And
All
it
right.
creates a whole visual with you opening a kimono. I'm like, Rick, we have been good friends, but
Oops,
I don't
bad
know.
visual. My apologies.
That's all right. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. So you do know. I mean, you can see already. Rick has a lot more than most of us on the. I don't know if there's anybody that has all of the stuff that Rick has. So I'm going to start out with something simple, since most of us just have, a screen, maybe a microphone, maybe we have a little extra video. But what is something simple and inexpensive that we could upgrade that would dramatically improve our appearance on screen? I will tell you now. So I'm looking at both of us. And of course,
Hmm.
I've asked Zoom, you know how you can ask Zoom to smooth you out, to make you look better. You can improve. I am seeing the smoothing, and I am grateful at my age for the smoothing. But I will say, Rick, you are crystal clear. Is it a
Thank you.
camera? You are crystal clear. What is it that you're using?
Well, I mean, yeah, I do have a whole studio set up here. And again, I will show that to everybody.
Okay.
But first, I want to go way off road here because to
Okay.
answer your specific question,
Yeah, what's something simple you could do?
the most important thing you can do, I find, and this is going to be ironic, is get the best microphone you possibly can. I
Really?
really think that good audio is more important than good video. And I'll happily share with you my microphone choice as well. I have my Yeti Blue in
Yeah.
my office, so I have good sound when I'm on a business call there. Here, I love my Rode Wireless that is attached to my shirt, um, which you can see right here. So no matter where I go in the room, I have that. If you got $100 to spend 75 on a good microphone. I think that's a good ratio. And again, you're going to laugh at me when you see all the cameras and lights and all this crap I have in here. But I think that an audience will forgive.
Rick, you're on mute. You suddenly put
Let
yourself on mute.
me see. Are you good?
Am I am I am I
I may have done that, so forgive me. Go ahead.
okay? Um, so I don't know when that happened.
Within
Um,
seconds.
Okay, so just to finish that sentence, your audience will forgive a multitude of visual sins if they can hear you well, but if they can't hear you well, all the cameras in the world will not help you.
And it's interesting, Rick, because I have, and I just showed you a nice Yeti. I have a beautiful Yeti.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I still continue just to use my built-in mic with my screen. Perhaps I should use the Yeti. It, it, I guess it's better.
You,
I didn't think it made a difference, but of course I'm not hearing myself on the other side.
you sound fine to me.
Okay, well then I will continue doing what I do. And here's a question. This comes up a lot.
Hmm.
Stand or sit? do we
Ah,
want to like have the camera at eye level or above? But
yeah,
let's talk about stand or sit. If you're doing a professional presentation,
yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I most of the time I sit, but not always. I have a camera dedicated to my being able to be out here in the room, and I like doing this. I want to do this more often. In fact, what I want to do is be able is to pick a place here and actually put a monitor right next to me, so I
Okay.
can then simulate the actual in-person experience. I haven't done that yet, but that's my next project. But being able to stand up affords you so
Yeah.
many benefits that we give up, we concede with virtual. Being able to gesture more, being able to sort of pretend that you have an audience out here. If it's difficult for you to really create eye contact and warm to the camera, that's a skill that broadcast journalists need to learn. It's a little easier from this distance here. I don't have to stare at the lens. I think I'm giving everybody the impression that I'm looking at you, but I'm actually not. I'm missing by about 3 inches. That is not the case right here. Here, if I'm looking 3 inches off, you
Wow.
all can tell that I'm not. I really need to learn to make good eye contact from this distance, but this distance is a little bit more forgiving,
Wow.
and I can gesture with my entire upper body here, and I can feel as if I'm more in the in-person environment just a little bit. Of course, I still have no audience feedback, but I just standing here, I end up using my upper body more. So standing is big. Put a microphone on you, and yes, eye level. That the camera that I'm looking at is right at my eyes, just like this one is here. So yeah, eye level is important. If all you have is your notebook computer, go get a bunch of books and make sure that your camera is right about eye level. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but what you don't want is to be looking at your audience this way the entire time, as so many of us do on laptops, because it's usually well below eye level.
Yeah. Good tip. I when we first started really using Zoom, I'm going to share, I was embarrassed now that to think about this. I didn't know we had what we call flip charts. They're not flip charts in there, but we could use um
Oh, yes,
you
the
know what I'm
highlighter.
talking about. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
didn't know we had that. So I stood only because I wanted to use my flip chart. And I had my actual, this
you
is
had a
early,
physical
early
flip
on,
chart.
and I was taking my notes on the flip
I
chart.
think that's
But you know what?
outstanding.
Do you know what, Rick? It wasn't bad. It
No,
was
I bet
fine.
not. I bet it was
Now,
great.
so now
Yeah,
I use whiteboard. That's the word.
yeah,
I use
yeah.
whiteboard because it's built in and nobody has to, but I probably should have stayed standing up with my flip chart.
My legal pad is never far away from me, and it always tickles my audience when I take a moment and write something down like that.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This was not me. I'm getting out of here. Somebody's using our whiteboard. I have not, by the way, guys, I have not buttoned you down back there. So that's why I'm just asking you to just keep it together. I could button you down, but I'm not buttoning you down because at some point you're going to jump in. So, all right. Other things. There's so many tricks that I want you to show us, but what are some lesser known techniques that separate amateurs from pros?
Mm.
Lesser known techniques.
Well,
I'm going to ask you one thing, Rick, even before you go there. How did you share your little book up in the upper corner of your
oh yeah,
screen?
yeah. Okay,
How'd you
so
do that?
yeah, that's just it's a button on my Stream Deck. A
Okay,
Stream Deck is just a little device that sort of acts like a macro program. It's a downstream key, if I want to be technical about it. It's an image that I told my hardware switch box should go at a particular place when I ask it to.
nice.
And
Well,
thank you
that
for reminding me to
separates.
put it back up.
I was gonna say that separates you from an amateur. But what are other things that
Okay.
separate
Um,
amateurs from
here's
pros?
okay. So here's a challenge. Let's switch to gallery view for a moment, okay?
Okay,
And so when we're doing Q&A, let's say in gallery view, and the person leading a webinar is often challenged by how to interact with people in gallery view, which I'm not yet seeing. I see just you and
Right.
me.
Let me see if I can get us unspotlighted. Here we go.
Actually, oh yeah, right. I think we have to. Let's see. Can I unspotlight
Because we are not,
myself?
I do not have you spotlighted,
Oh,
believe
that's
it or
okay.
not.
That's okay.
I
Now,
think everybody
all right.
has
So
their, go ahead.
I'm gonna pretend we're in gallery view.
Okay.
Um, and in gallery view, if someone asks me a question, what do I look at? Who do I look at? Where do I look? And that is very challenging for people because if I'm listening to if I'm watching the person speaking, I'm clearly not looking at the camera right now. And if I answer
Yes.
that person, my instinct is to look at them. But then we have a
Yes.
disconnect. And so, because really I want to to look at that person, I have to look away from them. I have to look at the camera. And
Yes.
so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take my mouse cursor and I'm going to click and drag the person to in my case, the top left corner, because the top left corner is really close to my camera. It's right there. So I don't really have to look too far away to be looking at that person. Okay, so that's the first thing is that you can actually
Yes.
just drag people around in gallery view unless the host has
That
locked
is
it
smart.
down, which is not common.
Right.
Usually gallery view is open and you can drag people around. So that's the first thing is the person that you're speaking with, like in a Q&A session, move them as close to the camera as possible. That's the first half of this.
That
What
is
I
smart.
have concluded from my own experience is that when the person is speaking to me, I don't want to lose any more nuance than I already am losing because we're in virtual. So I'm going
Okay.
to look at that person. I'm going to watch that person speak. I want to see her intonation, her lips move, everything. So I'm going to look at that person while she is speaking to me. And then when I'm going to answer her, I'm going to do it to the camera. So that's the rhythm that I have gotten into for Q&A with gallery view. Look at the person while they're speaking, answer them in the camera.
That is a great tip. And
It's
you can
hard.
it
You
is.
want to keep looking at the person while you're speaking to them,
I
but
know.
I found that to be the least disconnective.
No, that is smart. And I'm thinking about a workshop I just did, and I do look at their little box, and I can see myself looking at them in their
Yeah.
little box.
That's the other thing. Hiding self view is often really good so you don't get distracted by your own appearance.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you are, and we're not going to do this on screen today, but you have fixed bad slides. My question to you is, why are so many slides still terrible? I mean, Rick, we've
Mm,
been using
mm,
PowerPoint and other
yeah,
tools for years. Why are
yeah.
they still so, and I'm going to pick on my pharma friends here a little bit.
Mm.
When I work with pharma, I think
Oh
they
yeah.
tend to be they're the smartest and the worst.
They're the worst.
Why
It's
are our
true.
slides still bad?
Yeah,
What's
yeah. There's just so much autopiloting that goes on today. First of all, PowerPoint is pretty easy to use.
right?
Yeah, you can start creating slides in 10 minutes. Both my daughters started creating slides when they were about 10 years old. It's probably the easiest program in the Office suite to start using, and that's a bad thing, not a good thing. People declare themselves proficient long before they should. And of course,
Yes.
this craft is practiced in public. This is not like Word and Excel when you're there in your office. We're doing this out here. So, I mean, that's the first thing. And it's just become sort of autopilot to just dump everything onto your slide and to then treat your slide as the potential handout, which just is guaranteed to fail. Because asking your slides to perform double duty when they're probably deficient at even a single duty is really just it's a pity, because that's what gets people in this trap. Well, I know I shouldn't put everything on my slide, but I want them to have it for the handout. The minute that you separate those two tasks,
Yeah.
creating the visual component of your presentation and your handout, you almost instantly prevent death by PowerPoint. Now you can think separately about your slides, and you will
Yes.
almost inevitably end up in a different place where you're now distilling your thoughts down to simple thoughts. And of course, that is what we want for the visual backdrop for our words, because our words should always be the most important thing of a
Right.
presentation, our spoken words. Now the slides can become the background. They can become subordinate as they're supposed to, and you don't feel as if you're leaving anything out because you're telling people that here's the PDF handout with all of the detail. So just separating out what you show from what you give to your audience, that's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
Pharma, but subject matter experts, they're just going to always be clueless about this because they just have so many thoughts in their head, and they are generous with their ideas, and they just want to give all their ideas, and they don't know any better. So they're the toughest nut to crack,
It's
Teresa.
it
You're
it
absolutely
was
right.
I would try to help prepare them for conferences that they were going to, but it's almost like the expectation is we want everything coming out of your mouth to be on the slide. Like
Yeah.
that, and that is it hurts my soul in
No,
it
no,
deeply.
yes,
It
it is
does.
soul crushing for
It
sure.
is so. And I
For
tried,
sure.
you can't
Yeah,
even explain it to them. So,
that's right.
um, I think now, because look at us moving right along. Do we want to do studio share? Do we want to
Okay.
do studio share?
Yes. Yeah, let's do that. So let's do this. Let's turn on my phone. Let's spotlight my phone, which I believe is hanging out there in the gallery.
Yeah, and it's funny, it moved from where it was, so I see it
Yeah.
now. So I'm going to do ask to start video.
Yes. Okay, good. And so you should be able to spotlight my phone right now. And I'm not going to be seeing what I'm showing you. So okay, no, I do not want to join audio, but you're not seeing that. Okay, that's fine. All right. So what you're looking at here is a very simple hardware switcher made by Blackmagic. It's called the ATEM Mini. I'm going to show you stuff that is more involved than this, but I want to start with this because you can pick this up on eBay for under $200, and it has four big buttons, correspondingly four HDMI ports right there, and an output, HDMI output, and more importantly, if you can see this,
Yes.
webcam out, USB output. So four inputs, one output. This becomes your video source. In Zoom, you go to the camera settings and you say, don't show my integrated webcam, show my Blackmagic box. And so now all I do is push buttons. Now, my switcher's a little bit bigger. You can see it right here. And what you're looking at here is you can see four cameras, three cameras. One, two, three. Here's my webcam. That doesn't count. I got a bunch of monitors, but really the most important monitor is right here because this is showing me what is being output. So if we were using not my phone but my actual camera, this is what my audience would be seeing. Now all I have to do is push buttons. So here's button one, and when I go to button two, you see it switched. Button three is my stand-up, my bald head cam. I also have a camera that's behind me that is not on right now. Oh, sorry, no, there we go. So that's a camera that's coming from behind the phone. I've got another one from the other angle altogether, and then I have my screen. So I route my screen image into my switch box. So all I have to do is push buttons. And I love that. So as sophisticated as this all might be, when I am in front of my audience, all I want to be thinking about is pushing buttons. Now,
Yes.
there's this box right here also, which is many of you recognize this. This is a Stream Deck. This is just a small version of my hardware switcher. but it's super smart. Not only can I put all my regular buttons in, so here you go, you see I'm switching exactly the same way, but I also have various other controls here as well. This is like a macro program. I could do just about anything here, including like open up a folder on my computer. I can turn my lights on and off, which I love that. Just a button to turn my lights on and off. In fact, from this back view, it's probably better to keep my lights off right now. I can easily go picture inside picture. If I push this button here, that's what gets me next to my screen. And I've got various other controls also. But so all I have to do is to act like my own producer, is be thinking about what button I want to push when. And that is enormously comforting for me to be able to do that. So I've spent a few $1,000s doing all of this because it's my job to do that. I feel privileged that I can say
Sure.
that I do this as for a living. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. Like I said, this will cost you about $200. Add one camera, so have two video devices, and then you routing the screen into it also. That gives you three options, and that will take you 90% of the way to giving your audience the impression that this is a different type of experience than a conventional, traditional, boring old Zoom session.
Yeah. This is so amazing. And those of us that do train for a living or do presentations for a living, I am salivating. Like I want this. But
And
I
I
think,
have to say that I have a guilty pleasure that I really do enjoy making people foam at the mouth, because again, Zoom is just so dreadful in its standard way that I do enjoy having people go, whoa, this is different.
yeah, it's amazing. Santu, you have a question, and I think you wanted us to repeat. It was called Black Magic.
Blackmagic is the make of the ATEM series of video switches. This is the
Okay.
simplest one, called the ATEM Mini. This one is called the Extreme ISO. ISO stands for being able to record all 8 channels out at once.
And I
When
see
you
an,
say
oh, go
when
ahead.
you say ATEM, is it spelled ATEM?
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Okay. And my question was, I'm having a senior moment. I've forgotten my question.
I love that.
Um,
Thank you for making me feel at home here. I have senior moments all the
Yeah,
time.
that's okay.
yeah.
Santu, you can put it in the chat, and we'll
Yes.
we're,
Well,
we'll happy
what
to
what
come
we
back
could
to
do
you.
is go to Josh's question.
Yes,
Um,
because
while I try and think of mine.
yes.
So he's asking, do you need both the Stream Deck and the camera switcher?
You do not. You do not. The Stream Deck is just is a convenience. It also allows me to have my hardware switcher further away. Without the Stream Deck, the hardware switcher would be right here because I need to have those buttons close by. This is just so small and compact. This costs about, oh, what does a Stream Deck cost? Anywhere from I think $100 to $300. There's lots of
Oh,
different
not bad.
types. And you may notice, I don't know if you can see this, most of my buttons are not yet even programmed. And there's a whole second row. I haven't even gone to the second page yet. So there's like an infinite amount of things that you can do with the Stream Deck. I'm really kind of a neophyte with it. But it's just so great to have it right next to me.
Yes.
I remembered my question now. So if you're presenting slides and or even if you've just got your own kind of Word document notes and
Yes.
your slide deck just consists of pictures mostly, and then you're reading from your own Word document, uh, notes to present, won't the magic box or the switcher kind of confuse you if you're not naturally ADHD? Do you know what I mean? Because
Yes, I
like
do know what
your
you mean.
mind is having to switch constantly, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So I'm going to go back to my main camera here to answer this question because it's a really good one and
Okay.
it strikes kind of at the core of the issues that we face as virtual presenters, and that is the whole question of preparing your own thoughts. And I will boil this down to one simple sentence. Notes are good, scripts are bad. If you remember nothing else from this, from the way I answer this question, notes are good, scripts are bad. Scripts, they imprison you. They chain you to this narrative that you've already crafted. And unless you are extremely disciplined, unless you are a thespian, a trained actor, unless you have practiced and rehearsed to learn your lines, scripts will only get in the way. I would never want you to be in a place where where the words that you're speaking to your audience are being fed to you by anything other than your own head and your own heart. Now, notes are different. Notes are different. I've got notes here that are just single words to keep me on track so I don't forget some big old topic that I want to say. I will regularly look down at my notes. That's fine. That's a perfectly natural thing to do. Or, I'll be thinking for a minute and I'm going to look away from the camera. But then when I'm going to deliver, I want to deliver directly into the camera from what I am feeling right now. And yes, switching cameras is a layer on top of that requires practice for sure. I look back at early video of my studio and I was awkward and stiff and I changed camera angles gratuitously and sometimes it derailed me. Yes, all of that absolutely could happen to you until you practice. But knowing that I'm not staring at a script. And there's lots of ways that there are lots of companies that would love to take your money for creating teleprompters for you, or you've heard about these suction cup cameras. You put them right next to the Word doc on your screen. But still, what that means is I'm going to be reading to you, and you are
Right.
going to be able to tell that I am reading to you. Or you put the script nearby, but I'm sorry, you can tell that I'm not that I'm not speaking to you any longer. So I would never want my clients to feel as if they can only speak with scripts. That's just a purgatory that I would not want for anybody.
Thanks, Rick. I have Josh waiting in the wings with a question, and then I have a couple more questions for you, and we're almost
Yeah.
to the end. Josh.
So I'm digging all this camera switching, and I've heard about the
Thank
Stream
you.
Deck for a long time. This is the first time I've
Uh-huh.
seen it used where it made
Mhm.
sense. So back to what you were
Mhm.
saying earlier, just so I understand this. You said you don't need both, but can you use if you just want a Stream Deck for the macro buttons, can you still do that with the multiple screen inputs, or do you need both of those to get the effect that you were going for there?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure the answer to you is no, that you can use a Stream Deck with other means for controlling multiple images. That's going to require a virtual switcher, essentially. That's going to require software like OBS or airtime. Um, Open broadcast software, OBS, exceptionally powerful, super difficult. It is the IQ test that I fail. I would rather spend hundreds of dollars on a piece of hardware than learn OBS. But what I know about it is that yes, you can create a virtual studio and send that feed to Zoom. And you can use Stream Deck with OBS.
But I get your point, though. Having a mechanical switcher avoids the computer crashing and losing your stuff or all the rest of that, so you can just have buttons. And I like your idea of the buttons. So
Yeah.
okay.
Cool.
Um,
Awesome.
just very quickly, in case you didn't see my question in the chat, is airtime easier? Because I find OBS difficult to use as well. And can you use
Airtime is
airtime
much
with Zoom?
easier.
Yeah.
I've got a little demo of airtime. Airtime used to be known by six letters. Um, HHMHH, or do I have it backwards? Mm-hmm. That was the name of the product. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. I
And
remember that.
they rebranded as Airtime. And let me just take a second here. It's $12 a month, And I have just a little demo. This is not a live demo, but this is what the airtime interface looks like. It is much, much easier for me than OBS, where there's this canvas and you decide what you want to show, share your screen, show media, turn your camera on, and then you just create these layouts. So here was a layout I created with my likeness on the left half. Here's the screen, and here's my little graphic bug of the book. And that gets stored in this layout right here. Then I created this other layout where I became green screened in front of my slides. Each of these took me no longer than 10 minutes to do. I thought I would just for fun put myself in a circle. I don't know that I'd ever do that, but I could. And then a layout that's just me and a layout that is just the screen. You can see all the layouts down here. All you have to do is click between these.
Yeah,
And
nice. Yeah.
and I know that AirTime works with Stream Deck. You just tell Zoom AirTime should be my video feed, and you're off to the races. And it is, for my experience, way easier than OBS. But it's not
Great.
free. It costs
Yeah.
$12 a month.
Yeah.
OBS is
Okay.
free.
Wow.
If I didn't have my hardware switcher, I would not hesitate to spend 12 times 12, $144 a year for it.
Yeah. I remember it as
Yeah,
I played with it back then.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
it's
are
quite a bit smarter now.
we're coming to the tail end, and I can't believe that
Okay.
went so fast.
That
We
was a lot of
actually
fun.
we need an 8-hour day to do that. We need like a full workshop, Rick. Do you offer full workshops on what you do?
Yes. Well, of course, the presentation summit.
Yes.
And yes, in the spring, I do a public workshop. Just me, 4 hours, several topics that I think are germane to everybody's experience. Somewhere around $250 or so. I haven't announced the dates yet, but it's already March, and I know I need to. It'll probably be early May.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to. I will let you know, Teresa, and then
Great.
you can pass that on to your adoring fans.
Well, because I know people on this call are thinking, I want more of this. Like we have just like it's like an appetizer and we want more. So also I have all the names of the people who are registered. So we'll make sure that we share that with them. Now let's
Okay.
talk about Presentation Summit because that's another thing. We've got two things coming up there. Two things. So when is that and how can people get involved?
The presentation summit is the third week of September, and it is a who's who of presentation experts. Just a few of them you can see on your screen now. Maybe some of these you recognize. There's the aforementioned John Chen right here. And these are people that owe their livelihoods to helping others become more effective. It is 3.5 days. There are 2 tracks of seminars. We also bring in lots of guests who have stories to tell that we storytellers would appreciate. And we do our very, very best to bring you some human feel to an otherwise cold and impersonal environment. Like I said, it's not as connected as in person, but we get pretty darn close.
And I will say from attending both, um, it is well worth the time and money. It is an amazing program. And I will say when I attended the in-person, I thought of myself as an intermediate to expert presentation person and quickly realized I am barely intermediate after meeting all of these folks because
We do have that effect on people.
it is quite humbling. I'm like, I've been doing this since the beginning of PowerPoint.
I have
It,
to share a funny story with you because one of the things we used to ask, so we took some demographic information when people register. We used to ask, how do you identify yourself? Are you an expert? Are you a brand new user? And we just do this just to get a
sure.
sense. We don't really care. And my mother used to run registration for us for years and years. And she said that after the first hour, people would come up to her and said, "Could you please go into the database and change where I told you that I was advanced because I'm not?" And we would just get tickled over that as if we cared, but it was very endearing.
It it
You
is.
said, thank you for saying that it was worth the time and money.
It
Let's talk
was.
about the money. Through May, registration is $450. That gets you the entire experience, including a year of being able to watch recorded videos afterward. We jumped to, I think, 525 starting in the summer. So from now until till June 1, $450
And I think we have access to the recordings afterwards.
for a
So
year.
if we go and we like something, we want to see it again, or maybe we missed one of them, we can
We
go
make you
back.
we make you make some hard choices between
Yeah.
concurrent seminars.
Yes,
And the recordings are really good. You
they
know,
are.
I like to bash Zoom. One thing Zoom is outstanding at is these recordings where you can toggle between speaker view and gallery view. You can turn closed captioning on and off. You get AI summaries, the complete chat and transcript. All in one little interface on one browser screen. It's really quite impressive.
Yeah, it is. And when you have an in-person one again, Rick, I will be there. That was I got to tell you guys, it was a religious experience for someone
Oh, that's
who
very
may
nice of you to
no,
say.
it truly was. And the setting was beautiful too. We were right at a hotel that's right on the beach, and the ocean was
Mhm.
there, and it was just magnificent. So this hour went way too fast, Rick, but I am so grateful that you joined us and shared your wisdom.
It was a
Those that
pleasure to be here.
Oh my, those that didn't know Rick now are like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
you are amazing, amazing. And those that already did were like, oh, I can't believe Rick is coming to meet the author. So
Well,
awesome.
please.
No,
Well, I will get down off the pedestal at any moment. I It's very nice of you to say. My hope is that people connect with me because they feel that I am a real person, that they can kind of
yes,
get to know me a little bit. I will thank anybody for compliments, but what I really want people to think is that I'm just a dude.
you
And
are. You're just a dude, but you're a smart dude. You're a smart dude. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody who is in the chat, I've been watching, there's been lively conversation. You guys can all come out of the chat if you want to put your cameras on. This is now the party uh, aspect of our thing. I'm going to
yeah,
stop our recording
uh-huh.
and stop recording.